Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. Mic
We
check.
recording?
I don't know. Are we?
Bienvenidos, amigos, and welcome back to another episode of the More Life Diaries podcast. And yes, you've guessed right. If you've clicked on this video, this is a podcast. So our little disclosure, every episode is that there will be no videos. It's just us here talking about our life living in
Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And it's going to be a lot of our faces.
a lot of our faces, not a lot of other videos or scenic videos. So,
But we do have those. So check out our other videos if you want walking tours, vlogs, vistas, the beautiful city.
cost of living, all the good stuff. Click our profile. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. It helps us to keep motivated to create more content. But this is a podcast for all our day ones, our true subscribers. So thank you so much to those who are sticking with us throughout this podcast. Shall we?
Yeah, let's go.
So what's been going on, guys? It's been, as always, a couple weeks since we've checked in, since we've talked about, our life, and a lot has been going on. My parents were here for 2 months. They just recently left. My brother came for 3 weeks. They all left together, basically. And
Mark got a haircut.
I got a haircut, and I'm very happy. I supported someone locally in the neighborhood here, so that will be my new go-to haircut or barber, shall I say.
Mhm.
And yeah, just to kind of recap what we did with my parents, we headed to Yelapa, which was our first time there. What were your thoughts on
First
Yelapa?
time there won't be our last. It was beautiful. It's so quiet there because, of course, there's no cars. It's just a very small town.
And I was sorry to cut you off. I was really surprised by, you hear about it online. There's no cars. You have to get there by boat. I was like, we'll see. Maybe some Mexicans have cars there. There's probably some roads, a few pickup trucks here and there were
There
no
was none that
cars
we
there
saw. They have ATVs or quad cars or whatever you call them.
or horses.
Horses, or they might have been donkeys, small horses. And that's what like the roads
Yeah.
weren't even wide enough to have most cars in them. So it was really nice. You can just walk around on the roads and
And the
enjoy
roads are basically the size of like an
an alley.
ATV and a half. So there
One
were
at a time.
ATVs going up and down. People would like hug the wall on the side just to avoid getting hit. It's like a really, really cool experience. There's a lot to see. We didn't scratch the surface. We filmed our adventure there, which we'll be putting out in maybe next week or in a couple weeks. But we didn't even scratch the surface. So it's definitely on our to-do
We
again
have to
list.
go back. Oh well.
Yeah.
And enjoy, maybe stay a night, or definitely we went kind of later in the day. I would say we got there on 1, and then you have to consider the boats coming back, which we'll get into the details in the actual video, but there's a time limit on when you can get a return boat ride home. So we didn't have that long there, and I think maybe either getting there super early or staying the night is a must, just to really enjoy it, to enjoy like walk around the village.
And it's a beautiful day trip. Even like we were there for 4 or 5 hours still, which is a long time. I think our goal is to try to stay a night or two just to really get to explore everything. We've watched videos that, they stay a full week there, and they get to do a lot of cool stuff. Although it's really small, it's just such a good vibe there that it's definitely a place where I'd want to have a couple nights to sleep and really get to explore everything. Water was super choppy on the way there and on the way back. So it's definitely something to consider. If you are going there, if you're going there with older folks, some injuries may have happened, but the water was super choppy. So getting in and out of the boat is quite a challenge for some, I'd say.
Yeah, and then just not the most chill boat ride there, just because it was so choppy. Not scary in any way. Like we weren't thinking that we were gonna like flip over, but it just was like bumpy and not like
Saw dolphins,
We saw dolphins.
saw a whale, one whale tail.
Someone thinks he saw a whale.
I saw a
He
whale
was only one.
tail. It
Could have been a
could
wave.
have been a mirage. I was feeling seasick, but but overall, it lived up to the hype.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
truly, if I was to give people advice on one excursion to do in PV, is to head over to Boca. You can do it from Zona Romantica as well, but
Mhm.
I think just a trip to Boca is probably worth it in itself, especially if you take the bus and go through the winding roads and stuff, and head over to Yelapa for the day at least.
Mhm. Wonderful trip.
Uh,
Definitely recommend it so much that we're recommending ourselves to go back.
Definitely. Comment down below if you haven't even seen this video. Comment down below if you want us to go back. Another thing we got to do, or I wanted to bring my parents to, is the marina. So I did a walking tour there. I brought them to the Thursday market there. The Thursday market, which is a lot of artisanal stuff, handmade crafts, the typical
Souvenirs and that type of
souvenirs that
thing.
you see as well. There's honestly so much. It's another place where people were kind of hyping up to a certain extent, like, oh, the marina market's great, but I didn't expect it to be that big. It's absolutely huge. Like the full marina is full of vendors. But what I wanted to segue into a little bit is I had a meal at the marina, and we're going to talk a little bit about food and segue into food
Yeah.
because we're self proclaimed street foodies. And I had a meal at the marina. I'm not going to name the restaurant, but on a side note, the only other time we've eaten
Mark
at the
has had 2
marina
meals in the marina, and it's this one he's gonna tell you
and
about.
they've both sucked.
And the other one, did it suck? I don't know if it sucked, but he got very sick after.
Oh man, I don't know if I already had food poisoning or if I was sick or
Food
what
poisoning
happened.
is pretty, like, instant, though.
It,
Like, it's not, like, something that
well, it was a few hours later.
yeah, it's
So,
pretty quick.
bad luck eating at the marina. This time we went to a Mexican restaurant. Mexican restaurant. The flavors were in none of the food, so they were upset that day. No spices were used. I had to salt and pepper my fish and chips like no tomorrow just to get a little just to get a little taste out of it. Um, and the thing that drives me the most crazy, so my expectations are low to begin with when we're eating at touristic areas. But the thing that does drive me crazy, and I'll tell you why, is when there's no salsas with the food. That is that should be expected even with no food. If you sit down in a Mexican restaurant, you order a beer, they're bringing salsa out.
Mark wants salsa with everything all the time.
I want all the salsas, 4 salsas or more.
When we first got here and got our first, like, tacos to go, they give you so much salsa, and he was just like, "This is how everywhere should be."
Yeah,
Like,
I'm like,
I want an abundance of salsa. I wanna choose,
you keep the
mix.
leftovers, you put them on your eggs in the morning. This place, man, no salsas at all. I'm eating fish and chips and nada más. There's no
Needs
salsas, nothing
no
else.
salsa, ni limon, ni sal, nada.
Oh yeah, I had to tell the guy like, "Hey, can you bring me 5 limons? Can you bring me every salsa you have?" And that's just like, man, it pisses me off because it's like
It's
you're
fun though.
paying way too much money for, food there that you could probably get at a street vendor for significantly less and way better quality, which is the important part.
Yes, because we are not just foodies, we are street foodies, we rep the streets.
We rep the
We
streets
rep the
and the
local
small
vendors,
businesses. Yeah.
and their food is always so much better and, like, a fraction of the price.
And of course, like we were with, you weren't there. I was with family and other people. So, it wasn't my recommendation. I would never vouch for such place. But holy, do they miss the mark. And I'm assuming that a lot of these places kind of like tailor to their customers. And I'm going to leave that at that, but they tailor to their customers. So they're very light on the flavors and spices, which is unfortunate for like a Mexican restaurant, or that appears to be so. Otherwise, I said we're going to talk about food. We also went to Pepe's restaurant. I'll link down our date night episode. So we're at Pepe's
Hippies.
restaurant or Pepe's or
Hippies.
Pepe Caca. A recommendation from one of our lovely subscribers. What the heck? And there was a donation at buymeacoffee.com/more live diaries. And it's like, you got to check out this place. And they weren't wrong on the place, like the
The vibe.
environment, a lot of older folks, which we had walked by many times, and we're obviously expecting that. So a lot of older folks, but
They were having the
they were
time of
having
their
the time of their
life.
lives. I mean, I was impressed by,
Like,
the vibe.
not so much for a date night with a couple. I think if you're going there with a group of people and you wanna have a good time,
It's a
it's a
fiesta.
fiesta for
Yeah.
sure. Like, if, we went there with your parents, for example, it's like a fun place, there's live music, everyone's just partying and eating and just enjoying,
Yeah.
so
Definitely like a vibe, a group type of thing.
mhm.
Margaritas are flowing. There's a mariachi band. Everyone's dancing.
The
Um,
margaritas are huge.
yeah.
In
So
the video, I had specifically asked for a smaller version of what I was seeing because 'cause I'm like, "I can't drink that much."
you're feeling wavy.
And I was already feeling wavy.
Otherwise, really good meals we've had. We went to El Pitial, had birria there. I forget the name of the place. Birria. It's behind the church.
Yeah.
A very
It's on
known.
a lot of taco tours. Because while we were
Yeah.
there, I think at least 2 taco tours came in. Delicious
We've been
birria.
before, and like I've been thinking about it ever since. And this was when we first got here, and it did not disappoint once again. Like the
Mhm,
birria there is amazing. Barbacao and Versailles. We're not going to tell you too much about that because we're dropping a 5 restaurant recommendation in Versailles, our style of restaurants as well. So places that we went, we loved, we'd go back. So we're recommending it to you guys.
mhm,
Barbacao, which is started as a food stand and then they had a small location in Versailles. Now they've upgraded to a really big location.
mhm. In
Another pl-
Versailles still.
another place where I was, I didn't expect too much and some of the best tacos I've had, but more importantly, the best salsas I've had in PV. Eight
They
salsas.
they came
Eight
out with a whole
salsas,
plate of
folks.
salsas,
Yeah,
a flight
eight.
of salsas.
I mean, dang, like if you have less than 4, they better be really good because you've narrowed it down to a few. But if you have 8, like your game's on point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, where else have we eaten? Yesterday we had,
Vagabundas, also in Versailles because it's for our Versailles episode.
yeah.
This is a newer restaurant. I think it's been there for a few months. So some of you who come to PV a lot might not have heard of it or might not have tried it yet, but again, pleasantly surprised with how good it was. The food was excellent. The service was great.
Mhm.
It has like Mexican dishes as well as some Asian inspired dishes. So bibimbap, um, udon noodles. I think they had like kung pao chicken on the menu. Like they had a few Asian dishes, and everything we had was great.
Mhm.
And you'll see more of that in the upcoming video.
Yeah, 5 places we recommend in Versailles upcoming. We're really excited for that one. We started kind of picking up the camera and filming places we do eat at restaurants, not frequently, I'd say. So I think like it'll be important for us to show you guys the places we really do recommend.
Mhm,
To segue into our next topic, and I know we've talked about this before, and that is people who travel here and are in a way like disrespectful to Mexican people, to the culture. They're really on their like, I'm just here to vacation. I do not care about anything else. And we've started noticing way more frequent things that I think we probably noticed last year. Stuff that kind of irritates us. And it's hard not to judge people when those things happen. But um, obviously we're noticing it a lot with older folks now, and that's probably because there's just a significant amount of them here. um, PV has become like the new, I think, snowbird type of area. The airport's close. There's the convenience of everything. It's close to the States, close to Canada. But it's not even just to say that it's old people. There's a lot of younger people as well. And we're kind of trying to, figure out. At first, we were like, oh, some of these older folks, they're kind of like
And some of these people, other foreigners, basically.
they they want to come here, but they don't want to be in Mexico.
I think there's two different driving factors between people who are coming here, and there are those who are coming here to, make their dollar go farther,
Mhm,
or just escape the cold weather where they're from, or whatever other situations going on back home. And then there are those who are coming because they want a new experience. They want to be immersed in the culture
mhm.
and, learn a new language, learn new culture, meet different people. And uh, and then there's obviously those that fall into both of those camps.
Yeah.
Um,
And just specific examples of this, like we have friends that live in a condo, and in the summertime, and we've talked about this before, it's all Mexicans or Mexican families that stay there. In the wintertime, it's full of snowbirds, and it's not an attack on snowbirds at all. This is just being transparent with
just
our
it's full of
experience.
foreigners who come for the winter
For the
months.
winter months, they would fly here like snow. And it was, there was a birthday party for kids, and basically, like, the pool's busy every single day, and there was a birthday party. They had a hard time, trying to book the common space, which you can book, the pool, the barbecue. Once we got there, and to mention, more than half of the people at the party actually live there. And then we felt such tension when we were there. Like, we got there, everyone just flocked back to their places, closed the blinds, closed the doors, everything. Someone was downstairs complaining that, there's kids in the pool. So just kind of that type of tension around. Other stuff that we've noticed is just, obviously language barrier type of stuff. Like, people here should be speaking English, whereas it should be quite the opposite. If you come here, you should be learning Spanish. That's what happens when you go to a foreign country and the primary language isn't English. Stuff at Costco, stuff at restaurants. So it's just been very triggering for us. So we've kind of had to reflect on it a little bit. And obviously, most of these things happened to a certain demographic. Like, the people that are doing it are from a certain demographic, but we're like, it's not necessarily that demographic
It's
that's the
just
issue. It's just the people that are not well traveled, that have not gone to many places in the world. They might have traveled around Canada, the United States. They kind of,
or they're used to going on resorts where, of
yeah,
course, I mean, basically, if you stay in an
it's
all-inclusive, it's kind
catered.
of like you don't really leave Canada or the United States. Everyone there speaks English. Everything's made to make you
Mhm,
comfortable as a foreigner from whatever country. It's not taking you out of your comfort zone. It's
mhm.
just putting you in a warmer space for a week and everything's, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just once you leave the resort, you choose to do that, that's fine. But like you have to understand that not everyone here is here for your vacation. Like
Yeah, and
people are just
and
living their lives and they're not like there to coddle you. I don't know.
yeah, and you're coming from a different culture. A lot of these people, I guess, they come from a certain culture, right? In Canada or the United States, and they're like, this is my culture, these are my beliefs, this is what I know, and that's what it is. Whereas, if you're going off the resort somewhere, or if you're going to a new country, the people that really understand, they're opening their arms to the new culture. They're willing to learn. Culture shock is real, should be a learning experience for everyone. If you're going somewhere for a week, or if you're going for 6 months, like, you should really um, let go of your culture in a certain sense, and just
Embrace
accept
embrace the new culture that you're in.
the
Like
good, the bad, the ugly,
mhm,
whatever it may be. Things are done differently in different countries,
yeah.
right? And I think that's something we've always embraced. And that's kind of why, like, we love living here. We're really embracing the Mexican culture. Um,
And there's not to say that you have to love everything about your new home or where you're at.
mhm.
There's always going to be things you're like, oh, I'm not crazy about this or this
Always,
could be better.
anywhere and everywhere.
And that's fine. But there's an appropriate and respectful way of kind of expressing that. and
Yeah, and it's not that.
accepting that it's not the way you'd like it to be, and that's just how it is.
And also, like, don't judge those people. Like
Mhm,
that, those are the way things are done there. Like whether you think it's right or wrong, that's how it doesn't concern you.
mhm,
Like you're a foreigner in a new country, that things are done a specific way somewhere else. Sure, there's stuff that you might not be happy with, but again, that's not up to you, right?
mhm. And you have to think of it in the reverse, like, Canada, United States, we have a lot of immigrants. If people are coming from whatever other country and they're doing things that might have been, very normal back where they're from, but not at all acceptable in our countries,
Mhm.
how does that make you feel? Whether or not, it happens and get away with certain things, but do you like seeing those whatever it is? I don't know. And like, how do you feel when people come over from another country and insult everything that you do? Like, I know I've had, because Toronto's so multicultural and there's so many immigrants in Toronto, that people have told me that I came here from whatever country, and the thing that doesn't work about here is this. I don't take offense to it because I'm like, I've traveled. I understand that you go somewhere and you see something different, and you might have your feelings about it, but it is just that kind of attitude, and when it's like so common with the people that are coming
Mhm.
over that you're like, why are you? It's just, like in Toronto, you have a lot of immigrants coming over, and there is this expectation, even though it's like 50 something percent people born outside of the country that live in Toronto, there's an expectation that people speak the language, that even enough to just, order food or get
Mhm.
around. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that they are able to communicate in, English. And I think it wouldn't be very well received if people were, I don't know, like,
Like going to a restaurant and expecting the other person to speak their language
yeah,
versus
whatever it
the
may
native
be.
language. Like we're at a restaurant yesterday, and these two couples sit down, and they're joking with the waiter, like making little jokes and small talk, and the waiter, English is not his first language. Obviously,
He spoke it
spoke,
very well,
yeah,
but
but
it's not first
you're
language.
making jokes, you're being confusing, and the waiter was confused twice with the drink order. And to put like in the reverse option, like imagine you're the waiter speaking English, and Spanish
Yeah.
people come in and they're speaking really quickly, they're joking around and stuff like that. You're not going to understand, and you're going to mess up, and like they're all confused, like looking at the waiter as if it's his fault. Whereas like,
We were listening to the whole thing and we were
yeah, I was
confused.
confused, and I'm like, dang, like give this man a chance and like speak slowly, speak clearly.
Yeah,
Like it's not the time to joke around.
he's
This,
going above and beyond speaking your language to
yeah.
you. So at least you could do is just be like clear and concise with what you want. Save the
Mhm.
jokes for later. I think
Yeah.
he was just trying to be friendly, but like save the jokes for later and like listen. Like he repeated the whole order back to them and they were like, yeah.
They're the ones who weren't listening.
and and we were like, is that what he tried to say? Like
And
it was
man,
very clear.
we felt so bad for the waiter, and it's a waste of like food or drinks, and it's just so frustrating. So it's not to pick on anyone in particular. We don't speak, anywhere close to perfect Spanish, even like intermediate Spanish, but I think we try to be very specific, concise, and yeah, that's basically the message here, is just to understand that you're in a new country, a new culture, and just to
Things will be
embrace
different.
that. Things will be
Things will be
different.
uncomfortable for you sometimes. It's something that you like, that's part of culture shock. Like, you have to get to the point where you accept it. It's not to say that if there's something that you think could be improved, that maybe down the line you can make a suggestion in an appropriate manner for how things could be better. I think that's the beauty of having people move around to different countries. You can bring, things that really work and that in like that you've solved in your country to another country, vice versa. I think that's the beauty of it.
And the
Um,
amazing thing is to see older demographics, younger demographics traveling. Like that's just amazing to see in general.
mhm.
It's, even some people as old as like 9 year making the trip down because they love Mexico so much. So it's really something nice to see everyone traveling, especially after the COVID period. But I think people have forgotten how to travel and how to act when they're in a new country, which is probably the issue. Moving on, guys. I this one's a little bit weird. I've seen an increase in swastikas around, and I'm not even joking. Some people make up content just for the sake of being on YouTube and making up stuff. So the first time I started seeing swastikas, these two kids from the neighborhood, they were drawing, on the ground, nice drawing, whatever, Roblox or whatever the kids are drawing these
This
days.
was
And the Roblox had a the Roblox had a few swastikas on it, and I was just staring at it, trying to figure out like, is it a swastika or is he trying to draw something else? Is it? And he was like showing me like, hey, I drew that. Like he was
He was very
proud of
proud
it.
of it. We're like, okay.
I'm like, okay, that's weird. I don't know where he saw that, but left it alone. And then another day, there's a really dusty van outside, and I'm kids drawing it all the time. Swastika again. I'm like, all right, well, probably the same kid, like same couple of kids. Then I'm on my run the other day, and there's a big wall like further out that's tagged with a bunch of art or just like names spray painted. There's a huge swastika on the wall. So I was like, all right, man, like, let me take a picture of this. I'm going to do some research. I couldn't find anything online um, regarding anything relating to Mexico and swastikas, like in different, countries or religions, the swastika does mean something different
Or the
than
shape, like that
what
general
we know it for.
figure
Yeah.
might be something different.
I couldn't really find anything other than like a bike gang in the states that's like rednecks and Mexicans united, and they use the swastika as some sort of thing. But yeah, nothing relates. It's just weird to me that like I've started seeing it pop up, and I was wondering maybe if it was in regards to like the tension between foreigners coming here. Obviously, PV is getting more and more popular as a travel destination, and maybe it's in regards to those tensions. It's just kind of like a sign to say like, hey, you guys aren't welcome here. And I have to say that we have never felt unwelcomed here. We never had any sort of issues or confrontations with anyone. So we've definitely not felt that energy, but you could see it online sometimes. Some people online expressing, concern with a lot of foreigners or travelers coming here with the rise in cost of living. So I don't know. Let us know down in the comments below, like if you know anything more than us. I was just like, it happened too frequently for me to just be like, oh, it's a one-off thing. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't
I
know, I'm
will say
confused.
though, like, because we've worked in other countries with children, um, sometimes they see things online or whatever, and they don't fully grasp what that means, and they use it, and they just think that it's cool for whatever reason, or that it means something else as well. Like these are kids that we've seen drawing them.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I know in
Well,
other
the
countries,
tagged wall was not a kid,
oh,
I'm
I don't,
assuming, with the sheer size of it, but or maybe
yeah,
a teen.
like remember in other countries, kids, dropping the N bomb, and like they don't understand the history behind that word. They just, they hear it in music or whatever and think that it's
Hmm.
a cool thing to say. They don't really understand the language as well. So they just repeat things. So I don't know if this is something that I don't know. I've heard weird things about Roblox. So
Well, there's
I don't know if that's like popping up on there or whatever.
yeah, sometimes like people slip stuff in YouTube channels for kids as well. So definitely something to look out for if you have kids. But yeah, I think you're right in saying that we've worked in other countries, and racial slurs are used frequently, by kids or even adults, just because
They
they
don't
don't
understand.
comprehend it
Yeah.
doesn't come from there. A lot of different ones, to the point where like, hey, don't do that, little buddy. As teachers, like, hey, can you chill? Obviously trying to educate them as best as possible and saying like those are bad words, don't say those. But it does happen really frequently. So yeah, drop down in the comments if you guys have, any more information. Obviously that symbol is not necessarily something that attacks us directly, but
And
it
we also
could
don't want to
be.
sound like there's any reason for any group of people to fear coming here. I've not heard any, attacks or violence against any specific group of. It's
Nothing
just these drawings that I suspect the people who are making them don't really.
like
Yeah.
miseducation type of stuff. Again, like we've never felt concerned, uncomfortable, in danger
Mhm.
in our year and a half that we've been here. Going on to our electricity bill. So I just really want to touch quickly on electricity bill. If you've watched our cost of living episode or podcast in the past, we've talked about how at our old place in Cinco de Diciembre,
It got
our
up to
electricity bill was,
4,000 pesos
and
one
we had
day.
used the AC one time for about 1 hour just to make sure things were working. 4,000 pesos for 2 months. We talked about it. We investigated. People were like, that's ridiculous. That's even too much for the whole building. And that kind of never got resolved, but we ended up moving apartments, obviously received our recent bill,
And we have
used the AC almost on a nightly basis towards the tail end of summer.
December
Yeah.
period. And we have 2 ACs in here,
Dos.
in the bedrooms, and it was this month, it was 540 pesos.
540 pesos
And
for
we
2
used
months.
it in abundance. We weren't like, we were very careful not to use it in our old place. We had so
Mhm.
much natural light that we barely used the lights. Basically all we used was the ceiling fans most
Mhm.
of the time, and 4,000 pesos, and we were sweating
We're
our
sweating
butts
like
off.
crazy. We don't use it here during the day. This apartment runs cooler in general, but man, like what a difference. I would say like one of our number one recommendations if you're moving somewhere long term is to ask for a historical bill of some sort.
And actually, the bills always have the history on the back of them. You can see the last
Mhm.
year and a half. So even if you ask for one bill, you should be able to flip it over and see what they've been paying. And something that I do suspect contributed to our high bill in the last place, just as a note when you're looking for places here, is our fridge was probably older than us.
And
Um,
it was a heater.
it
It
was
wasn't a fridge.
it
The
emitted
outside,
heat.
yeah.
Like
It probably up the degrees in the apartment a few like degrees. It was so hot.
I'm wondering if that's
Yeah.
what like really was, contributing to the high bill. Our appliances here are new, and
Mhm.
I think
There was nothing else in the old place.
yeah.
Fan, which doesn't use a lot, TV, which doesn't use a lot. It was literally a fridge, a dryer, which we didn't use anymore because our bills were so
Maybe
ridiculous,
found it cheaper to get someone else to just like bring it to the, laundromat basically and
and
get
the
it
one
done.
AC, which we hadn't used. So just be careful, be aware, ask for a bill if you are responsible for paying that bill because, man, there was something going on there. I don't know what it is, but um, it's no longer going on. It's quite the opposite. Like it's way less than we thought that it would be here.
Yeah, like, and then actually I saw everyone's bills and I think ours was the lowest
Mhm.
because I think we're so used to sweating that we don't use the AC very much. Our bodies have changed.
I want to finish off this podcast, guys, and just before I get to these Facebook comments, I just want to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's really helpful for us. We're trying to make it to 5,000 to do our first Q&A live, so hit the subscribe button. Last but not least, never least, I pulled up a few kind of Facebook comments. I'm not going to read them verbatim, but just crazy stuff people put on Facebook and the crazy response that it gets. The first one is about a microwave out of all things. So some guy moved into an apartment.
An Airbnb.
Airbnb's like, hey guys, there's no microwave in here. I like to microwave stuff once in a while. Do you guys know where I could buy a cheap microwave? And you think that regular comment, hey, yeah, go to Woolworth, go to Soriana, Costco, wherever. The comments were
Yeah.
bananas.
No one answered the question.
No one answered no. Judging, attacking, threats. And we need to say that we don't use a microwave. We had one at our old place. We unplugged it. We tucked it away. We don't find it healthy. It kind of kills everything that should be healthy in your food
That
on
was
the
also
spot.
one of the comments.
That comment was correct. It wasn't
We
us that
agree
wrote
with it, but like you don't need to write it. It's not
Yeah.
the answer to the question.
It doesn't concern, I don't have to care for like that guy's health. I hope he's healthy, but he wants a microwave. Hey, let him
Let him
have
have a
one. He's a
microwave.
grown person. And man, the comments were so crazy, and we were just laughing, like Kathleen and I, like how crazy it was. Just answer the damn question.
People were like, well, they shouldn't include a microwave. They don't need to. The guy was not complaining.
He wasn't even
just
judging
like-
the Airbnb, complaining.
He's like,
just
I want to buy one and leave it in the place. That's why I want a cheap one because I don't want to take it home with me.
Yeah. Just so funny. And I think it was more so funny because like we don't have a microwave, so we kind of like got some of the comments, but
And
also
the comment was, oh, let me guess, you're Canadian or American, you spoiled brat. Why can't you warm your food like the rest of the world? I
and
was
there it is. We talked about attacks. We talked about
like, yeah,
attacks.
Facebook's scary. You get attacked on there.
Oh
Don't
man. Like just straight attack. Like they're finding anything to attack people on. Such a funny post for no reason, attacks for no reason. The guy just wanted a microwave.
If you
Let him
don't know,
live.
just keep scrolling. Or if you've seen a sale, let the guy know.
And the next one, which is a messed up one, it's not funny, but we might laugh still. This person was like, commented like, hey guys, I want to come with my family to PV. We're going to come for a week or so. I'm just looking at hotels. Where do you guys recommend? We want good Mexican food. We want pools. We want all the activities, excursions, literally naming everything off. But he's like, I don't want to go to this specific hotel because there are too many locals there. And that
As a
guy
lo-
got attacked.
Kind of rightfully.
And yeah,
As locals,
right.
we support the
like,
attack.
bro, you're coming. We just talked about this, obviously, so I don't want to get into it again, but you're coming here. You want literally everything the culture has to offer except the people. That's fucked up, my guy. Man, that guy got roasted. But some people were just like, oh, yeah, go to this hotel. It's great. Like, I feel like that guy should have only gotten attacked in the comments.
Yeah, leave the microwave guy alone. He just wants to eat
Everyone
popcorn
from
or something.
microwave, move on to resort guy. Like he needs to get roasted in the
Yeah.
comments. I thought that was just so like disrespectful. Like, dude, do not come.
Give me your food.
If
give
that's
me
the
your
attitude
prices,
you have,
give
do
me
not come.
your music, but I don't want the people.
This is not for you. Traveling is not for you, friend. Like
Yeah.
the best part about Mexico, about where we live, our neighborhood, is the people. Like the people make the experience, right? People make the food, for shit's sakes.
Yeah.
So, God, that was a rough one to get through. Obviously read through those comments because those were great. Although like I said, I didn't feel like he got attacked enough. But it is what it is. Hey, freedom of speech, write what you want
Yeah, write what you
and
want, but-
accept the comments down below.
But I mean, honestly, if someone just wants a recommendation of like a microwave,
Yeah.
a
Just,
place to eat,
also, microwave guy, man, just look it up, Google it. Like
it's not good for you.
Google Maps it. No, I'm just like Google Map the store. There's stores
Yeah,
everywhere.
Stores
Just
everywhere.
Figure it
There's
out, guy.
Facebook groups in case anyone here wants a microwave. You can get a
Figure it
used
out.
microwave.
Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
That's all we have for you guys. A random episode as always. Thank you so much to everyone that have made it this far in the podcast. We like just sharing these stories with you guys, our transparency on our life here. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below if you have any questions or reactions to what we've said today. Some controversial stuff. But thank you so much again. We do appreciate you guys very much, especially to those who watch every single episode. So you guys are greatly appreciated. This is our journey. More Live Diaries. Peace.